I was a father in my heart, but on that day I became a stranger in my own life. The scent of gardenias and expensive champagne filled the air. This was the pinnacle. 22 years of hard work, compromise, and a love that I genuinely believed had weathered every storm. My daughter, Clara, looked radiant. She was the best of her mother, Elena, and I always hoped the best of me. Watching her stand next to her fiancé, Daniel, in that beautiful sun-drenched ballroom felt like the final perfect seal on a life well lived. I remember thinking, this is what it's all for. Elena, my wife, had been fussing over details for months, which was typical. She was a perfectionist, and today she looked stunning in a sapphire dress, her eyes misty with pride. We'd been married for 25 years, 3 years before Clara was born. We're by all accounts a solid, dependable couple, the kind that other people aspired to be. The betrayal, when it came, wasn't a quiet whisper in the dead of night. It was a roar in front of 200 guests. The main courses were cleared, and the microphone was passed to the maid of honor, ***, Clara's closest friend, Lena. Lena was always a bit theatrical, a little prone to overdramatics, but she was sharp and loyal to Clara. She started well enough. To Clara and Daniel. I've known Clara since kindergarten and have seen her through everything. The first heartbreak, the tough exams, and countless late-night calls. She's the strongest person I know, and that strength comes from her parents, Elena and George. I raised my glass, meeting Elena's eye. She offered a fragile smile. Lena continued, George, you've been a rock. You taught Clara how to change a flat tire, how to negotiate her first salary, and you were the one who flew across the country at 3 a.m. when she had the flu. You're the definition of a great dad, and that's a beautiful thing, especially since, well, you're not really her dad. The words didn't register. Right away, the sound system had a faint echo, and for a split second I thought I'd misheard a joke gone wrong. I saw Daniel's hand freeze on Clara's back. I saw my older sister Maria drop her fork. Excuse me, I said, the word a dry rasp. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly on the polished floor. Lena, however, wasn't flinching. Her face was flushed, her voice now high and brittle. She wasn't laughing. No, George, I'm serious. Clara confided in me when we were in college. She only just found out herself a few months ago from a letter her mother, Elena, accidentally left out. Clara's biological father is actually Frank Peterson, ***. A dizzying, nauseating heat washed over me. Frank Peterson, he was a guy Elena dated briefly during a patch when we'd separated for a few months before getting engaged. I hated him. He was arrogant and selfish. We hadn't seen him in 25 years, but the name was an electric shock. All eyes were on me and Elena. She was still sitting, but her face was no longer just pale. It was a sickly white, drained of all color, her lips trembling. She tried to stand up, knocking over her water glass, which shattered on the floor like the sound of my life breaking. Lena, stop it, you're drunk. Elena shouted, her voice a desperate, pathetic squawk that carried clearly over the silence, but Lena shook her head. No, Elena, I'm not. Clara had a breakdown over this. She had a right to know the truth before marrying Daniel, and George, ***, you had a right to know this 20 years ago. It's why Clara insisted on a small, quiet wedding. She was terrified of a public meltdown. My focus narrowed to Elena. 20 years, 2 decades of love, sacrifice, and unconditional devotion to a child I believed was the flesh of my flesh. Everything was a conscious, deliberate lie. The countless birthday parties, the late-night talks, the college tuition I'd struggled to pay, all of it built on a deception. I walked over to the table, ignoring the horrified whispers and the murmurs of the crowd. Clara was weeping now, her face buried in Daniel's shoulder. She looked terrified, caught in the crossfire of a bomb she hadn't lit. I stood over Elena. Frank Peterson, I asked, my voice dangerously low, almost a whisper, but it carried the weight of pure, controlled rage. Elena avoided my eyes. She was shaking her head repeatedly. It was just one time, George, before we were engaged. And then we got back together and I got pregnant. I couldn't risk losing you. I thought it was yours. You thought, ***. I leaned in closer. You never considered a test. In 20 years, you let me sign the birth certificate, change her diapers, plan my entire retirement around her college fund, all because you thought, ***. She finally looked up, tears streaming down her face. Please, George, not here. Let's go outside. No, I said, looking out at the shocked faces of my friends, my family, and the hundreds of people who witnessed the *** public dismantling *** of my marriage. The lie started here and the end happens here. I reached into my inner jacket pocket. I hadn't come to the wedding planning for this, but I had come prepared for the inevitability of the lie being exposed. Clara's fear had become my fear. When Clara had first confessed her secret anxiety to me weeks ago, I'd started consulting with an attorney. I wanted to be ready to act no matter how the truth came out. My lawyer had drafted an initial set of documents. I pulled out the crisp white envelope and placed it down hard right next to Elena's untouched wedding cake slice. You're getting your wish, Elena, I said, pushing the envelope toward her. You thought I was going to lose you. You thought I would fight for a lie. I won't. This is a petition for *** divorce ***. The grounds are fraud and the witnesses are everyone in this room. I looked over at Clara, my heart breaking for her, not for the biology but for the damage done. By her mother, Clara, I love you, that will never change. But I cannot stay married to a woman who committed a 20-year fraud against me. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't look back at Elena, who had *** collapsed in her chair, sobbing hysterically. I didn't look at the astonished crowd. I walked past the floral arrangements and out the main doors, leaving the scent of gardenias and the ruins of my life behind me. I got into my car and drove away from the wedding, away from the lie, and toward a future I had to rebuild from scratch, knowing that the title of father was earned with love, not just genetics, but that the title of husband was utterly void.